Welcome back, your townians. What's up? I'm Matt. That's
I'm
Meg.
Meg.
That's Meg. I destroyed it. Let's
Hey.
try this again. I'm Matt.
I'm Meg.
Oh, we nailed it that time. This is the Your Town podcast. We're so good at this, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
We're trying a new thing in the lovely Riverside that we kind of discovered that there was a teleprompter. So she's playing with the teleprompter, I'm playing with the teleprompter, and it doesn't work together. So it's kind of a pain. So either way,
Yeah, it's not working.
It's not working so good. So we're going back old school to the new school. But this is a cool little story that actually Meg was, I guess, tell them how you stumbled upon this, because I had never heard of it.
A friend of mine made a post about it in Facebook land, and I thought it was interesting, so I started looking up some stuff. I was like, hey, you should read about this.
What were you like?
Hey.
You should read about this. I like it. So what did I do? I went, hey, I should probably read about this. And I read about it, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And what are we talking about, Meg?
Mysterious mountains. No, sorry.
They are mysterious. They are mountains. But I think we're missing a word.
My bad.
Stupid teleprompter.
I was reading the wrong thing. I was on the wrong section.
Happens.
The Superstition Mountains.
Heck yeah. Now try to say it with a lisp.
No.
Okay. It was worth a shot. Okay. Well, like I said, we're gonna delve into the mysterious depths of the Superstition Mountains, where legends and lore intertwine with breathtaking landscapes and some very untold mysteries. So this is a pretty cool thing. I feel like we should do the intro and then just jump into this one.
Mm-hmm.
Want to do the intro?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if it works.
Let's do it.
All right, ready? No? Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go. We did it. Nestled in the heart of Arizona. That should be a song. Nestled in the heart of Arizona.
It was hot.
Super hot. Yeah. It's a mountain.
And
there's probably snow.
It's probably dry.
Dry heat is a different heat, they say. The Superstition Mountains have long captured the imaginations of adventurers, treasure hunters, conspiracy theorists. All of them. But what lies beneath the surface of these rugged peaks? Well, let's try to uncover it, Meg.
Okay.
Like, not physically uncover it, because we, haven't made enough money in the Yore podcast to go to Arizona and actually see this, but it'd be pretty cool if we could someday. But check out the Patreon we don't have, everybody. But go to yourtown.com, because put a lot of hard work into that map, and we got a new state.
Woo.
Yeah. All right. So let's give a brief overview, of the history and the significance of the Superstition Mountains. The superstitions are steeped in myth and legend, dating back centuries, like very, very long time. And apparently, the rumor has it that it's a sacred ground, that these mountains, they've potentially been cursed. They were once known in Spanish as Sierra de la Espuma, which means what, Meg?
Foam mountain.
It's pretty cool. I don't see it as a foam mountain, but I don't also want to be cursed, so Foam Mountain it is. Mm-hmm. The range has a maximum elevation of 6,266 feet. And anybody that knows if there's 3 6s, it's probably not a good thing. For anybody in other countries, because we are an international podcast, that's 1,910 meters roughly. And a prominence of 1,706 feet, 520 meters, at Mound Mountain in the far eastern section of the range. The mountain range is located within the federally designated Superstition Wilderness area and encompasses a range of natural attractions beyond its iconic peak. Weaver's Needle, a striking geological formation and popular spot for rock climbing, stands prominently behind and to the east of Superstition Mountain. This tall, eroded volcanic remnant holds great significance in the lore surrounding the lost Dutchman's gold mine. So according to legend, the Lost Dutchman's gold mine is a, very rich gold mine. There have been many stories about it and, legends on how to find the mine. And each year people, they still continually search for the mine. And some of these people, they never made it out while searching for the gold.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, a different dun dun dun. I like it. I feel like there's a lot of people do a lot of dumb things for gold and trying to find gold.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like trying to do a lot of dumb things for love. What do you think people do more dumb things for, love or gold?
Maybe a combination of both.
Ooh, people that love gold, careful. Okay. So the mine bears the name Jacob Waltz. Super excited I could say that name.
Woo.
After a German immigrant who allegedly stumbled upon it during the 19th century and chose to keep its whereabouts concealed. It's worth noting that Dutchman was an American expression for individuals of German descent at the time. Educational show. According to the legend, Jacob Waltz found a large amount of gold in the Superstition Wilderness and revealed its location on his deathbed in Phoenix in 1891 to Julia Thomas, his caretaker. Several mines have been claimed to be the actual mine that he discovered, but none have been verified. Just like many of, my friends on social media. Know what they have in common, Meg? They're not verified. But on Instagram, you can pay for it now. It's also been said that Waltz was a miner at Vulture Mine, which was a mine that produced 340,000 ounces of gold and 260,000 ounces of silver.
Wow.
It was a mine that attracted over 5,000 people to the area and is credited with founding the town Wickenburg in Arizona. Shout out Wickenburg.
I like that name.
Yeah, it's pretty good, right?
Wickenburg.
If somebody doesn't have a candle company in Wickenburg, I feel like you're really missing out on the opportunity. Hit us up. Let's partner a candle company in Wickenburg. You in?
I'm in.
All right, here we go. You heard it here first. And there's no state tax. It was said that Waltz probably stole the gold and came up with a story to hide his theft. I can hear you kind of giggling because for a bunch of the articles, when I put gold, it autocorrected to golf. So if I do accidentally say golf instead of gold, I made a lot of typing errors. I say golf a lot more than gold. So
apparently
that's what that little smirk is that I can feel radiating because you guys can't see Meg on camera, but I can in studio. Shout out to the Beard Law studio, by the way. All right, cheers to that. Pretty good studio, right? It's not bad. All right.
Great place to talk about golf.
Big golf place. All right. So was there even anybody actually named Jacob Waltz? Is that a myth too? Turns out no. There was indeed a Jacob Waltz who came over to the United States from Germany. The earliest documentation of Jacob Waltz in the U.S. is an 1848 affidavit in which Waltz declared himself to be about 38 years old. It's kind of like sometimes in Little League when, a 19-year-old tries to play Little League at 13. He's about 13, just a little bit older. A man called Jacob Waltz was born in September 1810 in Württemberg. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of little dots and stuff over letters, but that's what we're going to go. Blair suggests...
You did well.
Thank you. Turns out I can barely speak English, let alone German. Blair suggested that this Waltz could be the same Waltz who later came to be regarded as the legendary Dutchman, and that he Americanized the spelling of his family name. Waltz relocated to Arizona in 1860 and stayed in the territory for most of the rest of his life. He pursued mining and prospecting, but seems to have had little luck with either. An alternate view, which better fits the lost mine legend, is that he periodically appeared with large amounts of gold. The Sterling Legend by S.D. Conister reports that a Jacob Waltzer actually sold $250,000 in gold to the U.S. Mint during the 1880s, and he had 1,500 when he died in 1891. In 1870, Waltz had a homestead of about 160 acres near Phoenix where he operated a farm. There was a catastrophic flood in Phoenix in 1891, and Waltz's farm was one of many that were devastated. Afterwards, Waltz fell ill, and he was, I guess it was rumored that he contracted pneumonia during the flooding.
That's sad.
Yeah, he passes away October 25th, 1891, after having been nursed by an acquaintance named Julia Thomas. Blair had little doubt that Waltz relayed to Thomas the location of an alleged gold mine. As early as September 1st, 1892, the Arizona Enterprise, they'll pick you up, was reporting on the efforts of Thomas and several others to locate the lost mine, whose location was told to her by Waltz. After this was unsuccessful, Thomas and her partners were reported to be selling maps to the mine for $7 each. Then comes an amateur explorer and treasure hunter, Adolf Ruth. And if it wasn't for Ruth, the story of the lost Dutchman would have just been a myth and probably just a footnote in Arizona history. It's just another lost mine. Ruth disappeared while searching for the mine in the summer of 1931. His skull was found, but it had 2 holes in it that were later identified as bullet holes. And they were actually recovered about 6 months after he vanished, and the story made national news, thus sparking widespread interest in the lost Dutchman's mine. Wild, right?
I feel like gold mines do wild things to people.
You aren't kidding, just like love. Full circle. So there's a story that echoes some of the earlier tales. Ruth's son, Erwin C. Ruth, was said to have learned of the Peralta mine from a man called Pedro Gonzalez. According to the story, in about 1912, Erwin C. Ruth gave some legal aid to Gonzalez, saving him from almost certain imprisonment. In gratitude, Gonzalez told Erwin about the Peralta mine in the Superstition Mountains and actually gave him some antique maps of the site. Apparently, Gonzalez claimed to be descendant from the Peralta family on his mother's side. Erwin passed the information to his father, Adolf, who had a long-standing interest in lost mines and was an amateur explorer. The elder Ruth had fallen and badly broken several bones while seeking the Lost Peg Leg Mine. That's a cool name. Which is located in California. So he had metal pins in his leg and had to actually use a cane to help him walk.
Now that just seems like foretelling.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a sign from the gold mine gods. So let's go to June 1931. Ruth set out to locate the lost Peralta mine. After traveling to the region, Ruth stayed several days at the ranch of Tex Barkley to outfit his expedition. Barkley repeatedly urged Ruth to abandon his search for the mine because the terrain of the Superstition Mountains was treacherous, even for experienced outdoorsmen, let alone a 66-year-old that had to walk with a cane in the heat of the Arizona summer. Guess what, Meg?
What?
Ruth ignored Barkley's advice and set out for a 2-week stint in the mountains. Ruth didn't return as scheduled, and no trace of him could be found after a brief search. In December 1931, the Arizona Republic reported on the recent discovery of a human skull in the Superstition Mountains. A doctor examines the skull and was actually given photos and dental records of Ruth, and they positively identify the skull as Ruth. They also say a shotgun or a high-powered rifle had been fired through the head at point blank. So in January 1932, human remains were discovered about 3/4 of a mile from where the skull had been found. And though the remains had been scattered by scavengers, they were undoubtedly Ruth's. Many of his personal effects were found at the scene, including a pistol that didn't have any missing shells. You know what else they found? The metal pins used to mend his broken bones.
Peg leg.
But the map to the Peralta mine was missing. Ruth's checkbook was discovered, though, but again, no maps. And there was actually in the checkbook, contained a note written by Ruth, where in it he claimed to have discovered the mine and gave detailed directions. Ruth ended his note with the phrase, Veni Vidi Vici. That's wild, right? So, Arizona authorities declined to launch a criminal investigation into Ruth's demise, contending that he likely perished due to dehydration or cardiac issues.
Even with a hole in his skull?
Even with a couple of holes in the skull. However, as Gentry documented, one official even hinted that Adolf Ruth might have taken his own life, despite acknowledging the presence of 2 bullet holes in the skull. I mean, there's no way, right, that someone would be able to do that, and this is what they decided.
And then refill their ammunition.
And that's what, you know what I mean, his legal team, family, and everything did try to really push that fact, but Arizona officials were met with skepticism by many. obviously including the Ruth's relatives, as well as those who favored the kind of more romanticized narrative of foul play for the sake of a hidden treasure. The National Wire Services picked up the story and ran it probably more than it should have been, and they really kind of played it up, which potentially news people do, adding the mystery to the story, kind of giving people something to think about instead of what was happening in real life, the Great Depression.
Mm-hmm.
During the 20th century, numerous expeditions and individuals persisted in their quest to uncover the lost Dutchman mine within the superstitions. Among these endeavors, one of the most notable and methodical was spearheaded by Glenn McGill, a private detective from Oklahoma City. Between the late 60s and 70s, 1960 and 1970s, McGill orchestrated several expeditions in the region. On 2 separate occasions, he asserted to have pinpointed the mine's location, only to later acknowledge that his assessments were either, in error, or that the sites had already been exhausted of its resources. Since Ruth's death didn't have multiple, just one death, there have been, depending what Arizona, law enforcement said, there have been several other deaths or disappearances in the Superstition Mountains. Some searchers for the mine have disappeared in likely wilderness accidents. 1933, a mining electrician named J.A. Tex Bradford of Globe, Arizona, went in search of the lost Dutchman mine. October 1933, he had been missing for 9 months. 1945, publication recounting the lost Dutchman's mine saga titled Thunder's God Gold. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Barry Storm, using the pen name John Griffith Clementson, detailed a harrowing encounter with an elusive marksman he dubbed Mr. X Storm, speculated that Adolf Ruth, another seeker of the famed mine, might have fallen victim to the same mysterious sniper. We got a sniper in the woods.
Mountains.
July 3rd, 1947, James A. Cravey, a retired photographer who was 62, was declared missing after he hired a helicopter on June 19th, 1947 to drop him off in the Superstition Mountains. Guess what? In pursuit of that, lost Dutchman's mine. He anticipated returning on June 28, 1947, but he never emerged from the mountains. The mid-1940s saw the discovery of the decapitated remains of James, who vanished while searching for the lost Dutchman's mine.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to search for it.
No, people.
There's not a good track record for this.
Getting shot in the head, heads decapitated. But this one, we're starting to get a little bit more present. December 2009, Jesse Kappen, a resident of Denver who was 35, disappeared in the Tonto National Forest. Kappen, known for his fixation on locating the mine, made numerous prior expeditions to the region. He deserted campsite and vehicle, and everything was found shortly thereafter. November 2012, his body was discovered wedged into a crevice by a local search and rescue organization. His story, along with others, was actually featured on the program Disappeared in the title episode, The Dutchman's Curse. July 11, 2010, Utah hikers Curtis Merrill. I'm really, I've been pretty good with last names. I just continually really risking it for the biscuit out here. Utah hikers Curtis Merworth, Arden Charles, and Malcolm Meeks. Nailed it. They're anywhere from 49, 66, and 41. They vanished in the Superstition Mountains while in search of the elusive mine. Merworth, how would you say it?
I like how you said it the first time.
Yeah, okay. Merworth had previously been lost in the same area in 2009, necessitating a rescue. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Department halted the search for the missing men on July 19th, as they were presumed to have succumbed to the sweltering summer temperatures. January 2011, 3 sets of remains, believed to be their bodies, were recovered. Phew. Yeah, I'm with you. We're not going searching for mines.
Nah.
Gold.
We'll just watch it on TV.
Yep, we'll watch Disappeared. The Lost Dutchman's Mine stands as one of the most renowned lost treasures in American lore. By 1977, Arizona place name expert Bird Granger noted that the story of the Lost Dutchman's Mine had been referenced or documented at least 6 times more frequently than any other well-known tales, such as Captain Kidd's Lost Treasure and the Lost Peg Leg Mine in California. Many people, they've tried to find the long-lost treasure, but nobody has been able to find it. Or have they? Another thing that while we were researching that I found that was a little interesting is there's kind of a big theory how it's a volcanic mountain and there's no way that there could have ever been gold or silver, mostly like diamonds and everything like that, which, I mean, that's just another theory. But then you start looking, there was mines in there that was pulling out hundreds of thousands of ounces of gold and silver. So something doesn't add up. And like its name, it's pretty mysterious.
Superstitious.
There it is. But either way, I was able to do the research, and every single thing that we were able to research was on our favorite Wikipedia. There's a lot of other sites that I was kind of looking through, but it was more storytelling than factual. So obviously Wikipedia, shout out to you and thank you for that. We do have a quote. I don't know if you want to read the quote, Meg.
Sure.
All right.
I had only one superstition. I made sure to touch all bases when I hit a home run. That is Babe Ruth.
Heck yeah. I figured it was fitting with Ruth and Superstition.
Yeah.
There we go. Nailed it.
Boom.
That was an awesome episode. I don't know. You got anything like follow-up questions, statements, anything cool?
No.
Me either. That was awesome. Appreciate you and said friend for posting something on the Books of Faces. Even though there's not a lot of faces on there, a lot of different things on the Book of Faces. But
and I do think if you were to like research it on your own and not look for the actual factual things, there's a lot of myth like stories to folklore kind of things to go along hand in hand with this, but I don't think we need to get into it on this.
Yeah, and the episode or two that we did a little myth, we did some folklore, we did some stuff. So I was like, you know what, this is a little bit of both. Has a little bit of that folklore, has a lot of missing and everything, and it's just.
But I think if you wanted to look into it on your own, you would find a lot more interesting bits. Yeah, we'll say, because they're not really facts per se.
Yeah, well, if anybody wants us to do a follow-up episode, a part 2, as the cool kids say, on this, and more folklore, superstitions. I almost made the whole entire episode without saying that. Maybe we'll edit that out. Probably not, but if you guys want us to. But either way, as always, shoot us a message on social media. You can hit us up an email. And if you have a recommendation for a story, a location, a state, I believe we're up to 19 or 20 of the 52 states. And we forgot to do this last episode, but I wanted to say congratulations to Meg. And when Zach started this, last week's episode was episode 52. For anybody that's not good at math, there's 52 weeks in a year. We do one episode every single week. So that means it was our 1-year anniversary show. So, yeah, super excited. We made it a whole entire year. And hopefully we do it a couple more years because this is a lot of fun. She's bringing it back. Anybody else that wants to, please send in a voice clip of you doing the Arsenio Hall. But either way, that's all I got. You got anything else?
Sheesh. Sorry about that.
Before you smash up the Beard Law studio?
Got a little carried away.
If there's any brands or businesses out there that would love us to give you a shout out, we can do a pre-roll, mid-roll, or right at the end. Slide into those DMs. We'd love to be able to help you help us. So that's all we got. Anything else, Meg?
Nope.
All right. Well, take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. This has been the Your Town Podcast.
Bye.
Later.